Oh, hello, traveler. No, I'm fine. I've merely resigned from my usual hellish torment. Doesn't seem to be much point. Nothing seems to hinder your journey. Oh, okay. Go take a walk through the Valley of Thorns. Maybe you'll be impaled on something. Maggot.
I think he's drinking. It's Dead Reckoning, Season 2, Episode 7. Tonight we talk about nature play, two-headed teachers, and Santa comes to a funeral home.
Join us.
I've got a massive bunch of finisms, so I'm now gonna do 2 for each remaining episode.
Huzzah.
So my favourites for this episode, Finn builds stuff out of Lego, and he did this thing at school once a week. He goes like a Lego Masters thing, and he's really, really good at it. And he always brings me these crazy Lego things he's done, and they're all pretty amazing. And they've got spinning and moving bits and lights and stuff in them. And he brings me one, which is just this Lego man with a massive sword for a hand. I was like, ah. And he goes, yeah. I was like, it's got a sword for a hand, well, a whole arm. He's a sword, giant sword. He's like, yeah. He uses it for sandwiches and war. And the other good one was, I was just going to ask him something like, do you want to come and do this, or do you want to? Come and help me or whatever. And I go to his room and he goes, go away. I'm about to summon a tiger. So I just backed out of the room. I was like, yep. Okay. Might keep an ear out. So I watched, what was that noise?
It's Kiki. It's Kiki sniffing the microphone, which I was hoping she wouldn't have interest in, but I'm just trying to... Yeah,
it'd be great if we could get some little snufflings or something.
Oh, there'll be snufflings, because when she gets bored, she'll just come in.
Oh, was that Jed?
That was me. I was doing an impression of a dog sniffing the microphone.
Well, you fooled me. That's a career, Jed.
Is that Frank Welker over there? I've got a practical dog over here to take your job.
Can I have some photos of this dog, Curse? Is it Frank Welker?
Call me Axel Foley.
I don't really have a dog. I just wanted to look impressive, so I hired Frank Welker to snuffle in the microphone.
You got a Frank Welker cameo, and you're like, "Can you do Boston Terrier?"
She's not a Boston
Little lady
Terrier.
I've been working for. What is she then? She's something
She's a
like
French bulldog.
That's exactly the same dog.
It's not
a French bulldog and a Boston Terrier. Oh my god!
Don't listen, Kiki.
2 sides of the same coin.
I've never been to Boston, but I know Paul's wrong.
When I'm annoyed at Lewis, I will speak in French to Kiki about him being an idiot.
I do that with Pip in Spanish. He's from Spain. The only time you ever seen him get excited at the TV was when we put on Narcos, and people were speaking in thick Spanish accents. He's like, huh?
Mi padre.
Stick on a telenovela when we go out. It's just that's him for a couple of hours.
The ultimate passive aggressive move when you're just he's rustling around, interrupting what I'm doing. I'm just like, oh, papa, quel idiot, huh? Kiki.
The problem is, because so much of the English language is derived from French, it's pretty easy to figure out what someone's saying about you. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're saying.
I say it under my breath. Kiki. Quel idiot.
Just avoid French and German. You won't know what you're talking about. I watched 3 movies.
Wow.
Which is unusual for me, because I'm usually so tired. I watched Heretic, which Jed has already covered, but yeah, very, very good movie. And then I watched a movie called, I'd seen it online, just in one of my desperate searches for something new to watch, called It's funny. I don't want to get this wrong because it's called The Man in the White Van. And it's like a thriller horror movie based in Florida, I think, in the 70s. But if you search White Van Man, that is, what's his name from Two Pints of Lager and a Packet of Crisps? He's got this like stupid
Yeah.
British show.
Like Ralph Little.
No, the other one.
The other one.
Oh God,
Will
Look at the
Mellor.
one.
Yeah.
Will Mellor.
Same with his like big smile on the front because he drives a van. Fucking hell. No thanks, I don't want to watch that. That was really good, and it's got Sean Astin in it, and they're all the actors are a bit wooden, like they're all a bit, the characters as well, a bit two dimensional, except for the main girl. Let me just find her name, who's really really good and carries the whole movie. It is what it sounds like. There's a man in a white van who's like a serial killer, and he goes after heaps of people, and then he comes after her. But the funny thing was, it was like I was immediately thought, oh, this is what Kirsty was talking about. Maybe this was a Stephen King, short story or something, because nobody at any point calls the police until like the last few minutes of the movie. So like they're like, oh, you and your stories. I fell off the horse because it was spooked by a snake. There's a white van following me. There's a man stood outside my window at night. You're always after attention. And I'm like, what? There's a fucking parent say this to her. And then she gets grounded. And I'm like, wait, hang on. But it's a really good movie. It's got a kind of the Black Phone-ish vibe. You know when they do those like throwback 70s movies? They've always got the same sort of feel and tone to them. So it was very, very, very much like the sort of, well, I mean, it's in the 70s, but it's very much like that Fear Street sort of vibe where it's a bit of a like teen sort of movie. And there was no gore or violence or anything. I mean, there's one bit where you see him like swinging an axe at someone who he's killing, but you don't really see anything. There's no blood. There's not really any violence. You don't see anyone getting killed or anything like that. So it's extremely tame, but they still managed to make it scary and creepy. And you have that sort of sense of dread through it, which is good. So that was a really good movie. And then I watched the new Beetlejuice movie.
3.
Jeffrey Jones
Boo.
isn't in it for obvious reasons. But it's funny the way they sort of put his part in it as like an animation. I thought it was really funny.
I think everyone would have liked to have seen the real life Jeffrey Jones get eaten by a shark.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that was really good. And Beetlejuice it's called. Even though, obviously, Michael Keaton's back playing the role of Beetlejuice, Catherine O'Hara absolutely kills it. She's by far the best thing in the movie.
She's usually the best thing in any film she's in. I love Catherine O'Hara.
Her character from Schitt's Creek was very sort of evident.
Yeah, it's basically exactly the same character. Yeah,
I think the side plot with Beetlejuice's ex-wife was a bit boring.
Yeah.
Also, the end bit where it's clear that Tim Burton really likes the song MacArthur Park, and he's like, okay, and we watched it in the cinema. We were like,
so much.
We were like, okay, is Tim Burton doing the whole song here? I was like, okay, left the cake out of the rain. Okay, like, and then it gets on. And you're like, oh right, no, he's going to do the whole song.
And they do it
like
twice as well. Yeah. It's like fucking hell. I didn't really get to do much else with it being shortly after Christmas and the rainy season. There's not much to do other than watch movies. I haven't been haunted. I didn't go after anyone's spirit this last week. Pretty much just let them lie, to be honest. I've left them alone. They've left me alone.
Evil doesn't take a day off.
Although the house is swarming with lizards. There seems to be a lot of baby lizards now in the house. Geckos and skinks and things will just come wriggling out, and you're like, oh. But then once you've seen like 8 of them, you're like, oh. Everywhere I look, there's like this weird big eye looking at me. I'm like, oh, there's a gecko in there.
Ben, have you been ordering bags of crickets off the internet again? No.
Oh, one thing that was funny was, and I'll put a sound clip in of this because it's quite staggering. There's a frog directly outside the living room window, and it was louder than the movie was on the TV.
I was like, I'm gonna have to go outside and deal with that frog again.
Well, I did. I went outside and I hit the tree, and then I like banging on the ground where it was, and it stopped for like 3 minutes and then started again. And I turned to Kath, I'm not doing that every 3 minutes. we'll just have to deal with it.
But the trials and tribulations of living in Australia. It's like there's a frog outside my window. It's too loud to hear the TV. House is covered in lizards.
Frogs outside, lizards inside, spiders everywhere. Oh, and Finn, Kath she was taking Melody to daycare and taking Finn to one of his holiday activity things he's doing. And so she left him in the car. So it's in the locked car with the windows up and everything. Not like cooking him. We had the aircon on. And he got stung on his hand by a hornet that was somehow in the car with them.
Ow.
And it was like one of Finn's crazy stories, like the Bob's Burgers where Tita drives and crashes the car and she makes up that crazy story about a cormorant flying in the window. And I was like, okay, Finn, so you got stung by a hornet, did you? Were you not looking forward to this week's activity, today's activity? He had this massive, big, like hard welt and this like a big bloody sort of hole in his hand where the thing had gone in.
Oh my God.
So that was his week in horror. He got trapped in a locked car with a hornet. And he said, I was like, did you try to grab it? Because once before, and I'm too embarrassed to tell you how old he was when this occurred, but we were fishing. Well, we pretend to fish. We don't really fish. And we were fishing and looking for like water dragons and other lizards and stuff by the lake in Canberra. And he goes, gotcha. And clamps his hand around something on a branch and then screams and throws his hand away. And I'm like, what? And he was like, it's Toby. He'd grabbed a bee.
Gotcha.
What did you do that for?
Oh, they're defending themselves somehow.
He was like 5. I was like, what the fuck, Finn? Gotcha.
And the bee's like, no, Finn, it is me who has got you. Touche.
So I was like, did you, for some reason, see... And if you see these things, they're horrific-looking things. They're terrifying. You remember, I'm sure I mentioned in an earlier episode, one of the games that we played, I'm a terrible father. I was holding Melody and Finn was on foot with me. There was a hornet buzzing around one of the electrical boxes outside. And the game was called Hornet Chase, where I swat at it with a garden brush, and then it chases you, and they will chase you, and they're quick. And then we'd run away, like screaming and laughing. And after a while, they give up chasing you, and it goes back to doing what it's doing. But it's funny because they'll look at you, and there's certain spiders that do that as well because they're so big. They'll turn and look at you, and he was like, "No, I was working on one of my songs, and I was getting into it." And he's doing this like groove sort of dance moves. And I was like, well, fuck, if anything's going to anger a hornet, it's whatever the fuck that was. So Finn's working on one of his like real smooth songs and doing his dancing, and it must have angered the hornet and it's got him on his hand.
Don't antagonize the bees.
Could well have been the same hornet that we were pestering.
He's come back for revenge.
It's got in the car when the doors were open and sat in the back and then saw its chance and took it.
Not so tough without your dad around, are you, son? With his brush.
With his brush. Perhaps possessed by the spirit of that girl I was pestering. Maybe that's a way of getting back at me. Anyway, we'll see if anyone else develops a hornet-related injury.
Well, when Mr. Burns is cycling.
Yeah. Could try and bat it off if you'd like.
It's blended on my eye, and I'm deadly allergic. Pedal faster, Smithers. We'll get you to the hospital.
If you can get it through your bug-addled brain. Oh, very good. It's basically a quite heavily weighted Simpsons horror podcast, isn't it? So I guess that was my week in horror. I'll try and, I don't know, if nothing happens next week by like Saturday morning, I'll just go and fucking murder someone or something. I'll get something good for the next one. We're getting to the end now. We need some good stuff. Since Kirsty is still suffering from winter fever, Jed, how was your week in horror?
Yeah, it started off pretty strong, to be honest. I'm not going to cover too much of Nosferatu in my week in horror because neither of you have seen it, so it's very much something I want to cover collectively. But it's definitely one of the highlights of the year so far. It's very much a Robert Eggers film.
You've had, what, 11 days?
I know, yeah. We actually went to watch this on last Saturday, so we watched this on the 4th of January, so it was pretty much straight out the gate. But yeah, Robert Eggers definitely knows how to like set the scene of a film. Everything's dead stylistic. All the cinematography is absolutely amazing. The thing is as well, I mean, you'd think from the type of films that he makes, he'd be a dead serious guy. But Laura was watching a bunch of the interviews of him afterwards, and he's just like talking about practical jokes that he would play on people. Like Bill Skarsgård's got like a prosthetic penis in it. They were just like joking about the things that they would do throughout the film. But he really is good. I mean, the Bill Skarsgård voice is something that absolutely haunts everyone who sees it. It's a very sort of guttural, creepy, deep European accent. It's the way that you'd imagine a 600-year-old Eastern European vampire to sound. Yeah, a lot of it is subtitled, so it's you can imagine that a lot of people would have trouble hearing it. It's like when they released Trainspotting in America, and like the whole thing is just subtitles. The cinematography and the score are absolutely amazing, and it's got that general Robert Eggers flair where even the tiniest thing will make you feel really uncomfortable. Lily Rose Depp has really outdone herself as well. I mean, she's been in sort of bitty movies really overall, but this is definitely the one where she's the most standout star. The thing about the film is though, it's kind of like Marmite. You either really love it, which obviously I think that we all three of us will absolutely love it to bits, but a lot of people are either not sort of nonplussed on it or absolutely love it to bits. It's one of them films where it's not really like a lot of people are sort of overly sensitized to things running at an absolute breakneck pace. It's not one of them films. It doesn't like leave you with sort of overall conclusion. It doesn't plod things along and sort of handhold you throughout the overall film. So it's very much a stylistic film rather than one to sort of keep you on the edge of your seat throughout the entire thing.
So I've noticed that the reviews I've read so far have been very split down the middle. There's a lot of reviews that say it's absolutely incredible, and your review as well saying how good it was, and I believe those. But then there's so many reviews that are like, oh, it fell flat or this. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
I was just thinking of, so I've seen a lot of my friends watch it on and then post on Facebook. And I do have a friend who I would say she's in her mid-60s. And her and her other friends who were also in their mid-60s, all retired ladies who like to do baking and crochet and crafts and stuff. They all got the pictures together.
How do they feel about tarot cards?
I don't think so. It's funny because they will literally just say, right, we go to the cinema on a Wednesday afternoon at 4:00, and whatever's on, we will watch. Which I kind of like that attitude. They don't give, because I remember going in to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and they were all coming out, and I was like, "You went to see that?" And they're like, "Yeah, it was quite good." Just did not expect this group of like older ladies to come out of Guardians 3. And so Lynn, her name is, and she's lovely. She said, "This was awful. So glad we used our freebie tickets and hadn't paid good money to see it."
Oh, and then everyone watched Nosferatu.
Yeah, so they all went to watch Nosferatu. Oof. I went with my friend.
They roll the dice there because Sonic 3 is also out.
I went with my friend and we both said it was very atmospheric, but the vampire with the dodgy accent was a parody. Christopher Lee was miles better.
Oh, God.
And then, so they're basically arguing between themselves. My other friend, my other friend Mikey, you'll have met him, Jed, Mike Bignell, and he does, when he sees a film, he loves it. I've never seen him give a bad review of a film. Every single review is a rave. And just to see them arguing back and forth, him saying, Bill Skarsgård is amazing. The cast was fantastic. It's the greatest film I've ever seen. And she's like, no, garbage. Next. Just to see him completely like, nope, no one's budging on this one. I was going to go and see it yesterday, but we went out to walk the dog, and Runcorn is just like an ice rink right now. And I was like, I really want to go and see this film, but I do not want to fall and break my ribs whilst seeing it, and then have to sit in a cinema with broken ribs, going, I've paid now, which I would do. I would just sit there going, I've paid now. Like hoping there's no gags in it because I might like vomit if I have to laugh.
They'd see this like gaunt, white, sickly figure at the back going.
Have they hired you to come and sit in the sit? No, I just fell on the ice. I'm an old woman. I'm 45 years old.
Like finally coming back from the doctors. So these wrists are perfectly healed now. Obviously there's some scarring from where you've had your operations, but I think we'll be okay. And you get outside and you go, oh, damn it.
So I am going to watch it. I'm going to watch it next week because the temperatures are going to hit 11 on Tuesday.
Oof.
So I know all this shitty, horrible snow and ice is going to melt, and then Kirsty can go and enjoy herself. T-shirt weather. It's T-shirt weather on Tuesday.
That's beer garden weather, 11 degrees.
I will be in the yard with a beer on that day, definitely. Me and Keeks having a little beer in the back, baby. Kiki's just trying to walk on the laptop right now because she's like, she's not getting enough attention. But yeah, I was desperate to see it, and then I said, I'm definitely going, and then we kind of got back from walking the dog, which took about an hour to walk around the block. And every single step I was going, I'm going to die. And Lewis went, you still going to see Nosferatu? I was like, no, I am not. I'm going to stay.
It's funny, I mentioned to Kath, I was like, oh, I really want to see Nosferatu. And then Jess just said it's amazing. So I really, really want to go and see it now. And the next free weekend we've got, I was like, oh, we'll get a babysitter and we'll go and watch it. She was like, oh, I've already got a babysitter for that weekend because her dad and partner are coming down and we're all going Dracula's, bizarrely enough. And I was like, oh, what a coincidence. So we're going to a Australian Dracula cabaret restaurant instead of watching Nosferatu.
You're just like, you'll walk past the cinema on the way there and be like, oh.
So hopefully we'll see that the weekend after.
But the two main things about the film that sort of stuck with me. These aren't really spoilers because anyone who's seen any media about it is probably aware of it. Firstly, Bill Skarsgård's Nosferatu, but has a big fuck off mustache, which is kind of weird. But like, he's a nobleman from like the 6th century Eastern Europe, so he's like. It's pretty obvious he would have a big fuck off tash, but loads of people online like, why does Nosferatu have a mustache? It's like Gary Oldman had a goatee. Nosferatu has a big massive tash.
Well, in Salem's Lot, the book, the vampire has a thin mustache.
Yeah, like a little wispy tash. But one of the things that Nosferatu does is he causes like a plague of rats upon the city that he comes to. And when you first meet William Dafoe's character, which is Professor von Franz, he's in like a typical eccentric like alchemist office where he's got loads of like occult drawings and books and stuff, but the whole room is like filled with cats. And but like the whole room's filled with cats, and like he knows he knows what Nosferatu is. And he just, his whole building's just covered in cats. And he's like, just goes around like smoking a pipe going, oh yes, the vampire will bring this plague. Like puff, puff, puff. Like just like nonchalantly like smoking on his pipe. The two main characters live together and they have a pet cat who's like quite prominent in it. And then at the end of it, he just literally just like goes, oh, well, the vampire's gone. And he goes, does anybody mind if I take this cat? He just literally like picks up the cat and it's like I've seen like loads of memes online. It's like Nosferatu dies, and he goes, Dr. Von Franz goes, oh, does anyone want this cat? Literally, he's literally a giant cat meme. But I think William Dafoe is pretty much in every Robert Eggers film. He's like his go-to dude.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's if you say, "Oh, we're casting someone in a movie," the character's called Professor Von Friends, you immediately think Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
He'll play that role.
Yeah. Robert Eggers has got him on speed dial. But yeah, it's definitely something to watch. Every horror fan should try and at least make it to the cinema to check that one out. But
So
we'll talk about
when
it
are you
more.
able to go, Paul?
Sorry?
What weekend are you going to go to see it?
Oh, weekend after next if it's still out. If not, I'll have to put a rock on my space bar and just go during the day and watch it.
I'm gonna try and go next week. I'm gonna because like Lewis went to, where did he go this week? He went to band practice. He's been to jiu-jitsu. Today he's filming a video, and it's like, right, mum needs a night off. I'm gonna go and watch Nosferatu, get a Mackey's and have a cocktail on my own. Like
McDonald's do cocktails now, do they?
they do when I'm there.
You just put a miniature of vodka into like a frozen Coke.
They're not paid enough to stop me. I'm just like, can I also have can I also have a cup with ice? Why? What for? Nothing. And I'm just cracking like one of these like train cocktails that you get in a tin. Just enjoying my mojito.
If you don't want me to drink, you'll fix the ice cream machine.
Yeah, what is it? This is a complete diversion, but Lewis's job, which he doesn't have anymore. They did the venue did a party, a staff party for the McDonald's staff, and I was so excited to work. I was like, "Please, can I work it with you?" He's like, "Why?" I was like, they're my heroes. I just want to see them in real life." Is Grimace coming? Is Grimace going to be there? Who's going to be there? And I was just like, "Oh, I know her. Like, I know this one. I know this fella." It was like so exciting for me.
Finn was talking heaps about Grimace. And I'm like, how do you know that exists? I've not heard that name for so long. And it was some things, he's banned from it now, but he managed to get onto these things on YouTube that was suggesting that Grimace, so like around the Grimace shake sort of thing, and it was saying, oh, Grimace killed loads of people and everything and makes him up to be some sort of like horrific monster. And that's what he knew Grimace as. I was like, no, he's a happy, the purple guy.
Yeah, it's like, I've seen loads of them on TikTok, and it goes like, oh yeah, it's Grimace's birthday. We're all going to McDonald's to check out the Grimace shake. Happy birthday, Grimace. And they like take a drink of a purple milkshake, and then it just like cuts to like everybody just like on the floor with like blood around their mouth, like people like hanging from the ceiling. There's one where as well. There's one where they're like they're in like a park, and then one of them comes like floating face down like in a river that's like right next to where they stood. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, these idiot kids on YouTube.
It was a very good instant of like 30-second horror, like all that when that was going around. I was very impressed. But with apprehension that there wasn't going to be much for my week in horror, I made sure yesterday to watch two other films. The first one was these are both sort of Nick Frost sort of horrors that have come out recently. I think both of them are going to be on Shudder. I know the second one is on Shudder, but the first one is it's a Shudder production, but it's also as part of Sky Cinema, which is called Getaway, which is literally only just came out like a few days ago. Where it's a family of four, like a mum, dad, and two kids, like a boy and a girl, and they go on a holiday to a remote Swedish island, and you think it's going to be it plays it like it's going to be like a sort of folky horror, and like all the Swedish locals are just like, you cannot come here. This is a dangerous town for you. And they go to this like creepy island where it's like an Airbnb that's owned by a complete absolute pervert who's looking at them through a bunch of cameras that are dotted around the house. And there's like a cult who live on the island, and it's about what they're doing is they're putting on this special play. It's like done every year to commemorate when the locals like killed and ate a bunch of British soldiers in like in like European expansion days. But the whole film, in like the last third of the film, completely does a massive 180 and then turns into something completely different. But yeah, it's really sort of a more sort of silly film. But
Yeah, it's a horror comedy. So, yeah.
yeah, it's very much a horror comedy. Like they have some really fun sort of one-liners, but the last third of the film, everything completely gets turned upside down, and then it's like you were made out. Basically, you were made out to believe that the cult who live on the island, complete weirdos, and they're gonna like come for them. But even like the costumes that the cult wear are like ridiculously over the top. They have like your general sort of creepy cult, like things like robes with big hoods on. Then they have one where it's like it looks like a paper mache like cartoon character with like big like googly eyes on it and stuff. But then it literally just erupts into an absolute bloodbath in the last 20 minutes or so, which is just completely ridiculous. But it plays like it's gonna be sort of like a Wicker Man type, the creepy cult are coming for the family. But then in like the last half hour, it completely gets turned on its head. So it's definitely something to check out. It's I think it's a Shudder production, but it's been distributed by Sky. So depending on what location you're in, it's IFC Films and Shudder are the main sort of makers of the film. It's also written by Nick Frost as well, so it's got more of a sort of his general flair on the absurd into it as well. So it's definitely something to check out. It's not on for very long, and it's just like a bit of a silly thing to watch. The cinematography in it is really good as well. There's a lot of different shots of the Swedish countryside, which are really good. And yeah, it's definitely an absolute bloodfest in the last sort of half an hour to 20 minutes. So certainly something to check out. It was released pretty much only a few days ago, so it was literally only came out yesterday on Sky Cinema. So if you have that, you'll definitely be able to watch it. But what I was thinking as well is I wanted to sort of have a bit of a palate cleanser. Well, I decided when I was browsing on Shudder as well, it had another Nick Frost film, so I decided to watch that. But this is definitely not a comedy, which is a film called Black Cab on Shudder, where it basically starts off with this couple like having an argument, and outside after going out for dinner with some friends, and they get into a black cab, and Nick Frost is just like his general jovial sort of large comedic Cockney fat man, and then within like about 2 seconds, he's just completely gone absolutely sick on him. He like stops the car and then opens the back door, and then he just literally electrocutes her husband with a cattle prod, and then he's on the floor like being sick, and then he turns into an absolute psycho. And it's all about. It's more of a ghost story as well. That you think he's just going to be like a weird, like really horrible psychopath, and that's what the whole film's going to be about. But he's like, it's like he's haunted by some ghost, and you don't know whether it is a ghost or whether he's just sort of mentally ill. And the whole film is just like one big sort of lead up of tension to the next, to the point where it's one of them ones where you never really know what he's going to do next, and like every couple of seconds he's just sort of shouting out like random sort of things like smother him, no, I don't want to do that.
I saw that on I saw it on Shudder while I was away for work. I watched the I'm pretty sure I've already covered it, the French like zombie movie, Take on the zombie movie. And then I was going to start watching. I watched that up to the point where they leave the restaurant, and then I can't remember why, but I turned it off at that point and watched something else. But yeah, I want to watch that. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's definitely one to check out. It's very sort of a contained film as well. So obviously the majority of the film takes place in the taxi while he's driving it along.
Yeah.
But it's different to see Nick Frost in such a malevolent type character as well. I mean, he obviously fits the villain, and there's still the odd bits of humour which are fairly sort of archetyped to the type of role that he plays almost in every single thing that he's in. But it's the type of character where he just literally just he's got a hair trigger, like any type of slight moment, you don't know what he's going to do next. He almost completely is on. It leaves you on the edge of your seat. And the woman, and I'm going to try and pronounce her name, which is Synnöve Carlson, plays the passenger. The husband is he's in it, and he's the other passenger in it, but he spends the majority of the film unconscious, sort of tied to like a handle in the taxi. So not really much point in mentioning him. He's pretty much just he's just there for furniture. So the majority of the film is about that. But the whole ghost story element is another part of it, which sort of adds attention. It's not the best film in the world. It's made by Shudder, and it's probably made on a budget of like not all that much. So it's one to like waste a bit of time on. But the tension is certainly there, and the Nick Frost on the keeping the tension up certainly adds to that. So Black Cab and Get Away were two recent Nick Frost films. One's more comedic, and the other is certainly lacks in humour. But those are the other two films that I've been watching, which should be both out on Shudder, but one's definitely out on Sky Cinema, and the other is on Shudder at the moment, depending on where you are.
Kirsty, aside from struggling desperately to stay on this side of that thin line, what have you been doing?
Well, no, I'm much better now. I actually feel fine. It's that the problem is that the whole world is shut down because of ice and snow. So I still haven't been anywhere.
Winter.
Winter
fever, and then old man winter.
So even though I was raring to I want to go out, I want to do stuff, I want to get into the world, I've been locked up for 2 weeks, and everyone's like, nah, nothing's open, everything's shut. Well, I was going to watch Nosferatu yesterday. I decided against it because I was scared of falling. And so I was like, well, I'll watch something just so I've got something to talk about. So I Googled 2024's best horror movies, and I found an article by Variety. And I went
better and better.
And I'd seen most of them, obviously, or they'd already been spoken about on here. So I was like, I picked one that I'd never heard of. And it was called, in Spanish, La Mesita del Comedor, which means coffee table. But in Spanish, that literally means the dining room's small table. It doesn't mean coffee table. But it's called the coffee table. I'm gonna...
Wait a minute.
Have you heard of
that one?
Yeah, it's that one.
Oh,
so
God.
if you have not seen the coffee table and you think you might want to watch it, I would skip ahead 10 minutes because I'm going to have to completely ruin it. Otherwise, there's nothing to talk about.
I haven't watched it, and I do not wish to watch it.
Yeah, I think
based on what I have read.
I mean, someone commented like, "Oh, this must be a very difficult watch if you have kids," and it's like, well, I don't have any kids, but I also don't want to see babies get decapitated. Like. It's not like everyone who doesn't have kids is sitting there going, off with his head. Off with his head. Like, it's still fucking horrendous. So anyway, yeah.
If you don't have kids, you're a psycho, a sick psycho.
It's a film about a couple arguing in a shop. I love the way it's shot because it's very Wes Anderson, I think, the way it's shot. Everything's kind of like squared off and a bit...
God, that'd lure you in, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's
so
weird.
What are you doing?
And
it's like Chapter 1, the decapitation.
yeah, that's literally, that happens in the first 20 minutes of the film, right? So, in the first 20 minutes of the film that happens, and then it starts off with a couple arguing about a coffee table. The husband wants to buy this nasty, looking coffee table. It's just tacky. And his wife's like, no. And she comes across as just this absolute horrible woman.
Paul's laughing because that's definitely a conversation that he's had with Kath. It's like, you can't buy this. And he goes, but you pull it down and it turns into a football table.
No, I was laughing because I was like, oh, you've got an opinion on that too, have you, Kirsty? It's just tacky. And anyway.
Well, I think it's supposed to be something that, and I've seen this happen because, obviously when Lewis moved in with me, so I'd already decorated and chosen every single thing. And I every now and then he's like, we should get this. This would look great in the house. And I'm like, absolutely not. It's fucking horrible. I brought this home to put up on the wall. And I'm like, yeah, let's just hide that until you've forgotten about it. So I was like, okay, they're having this conversation, and then he's like, the salesman is like, this is a beautiful table. It's unbreakable. The glass in it is unbreakable. And I'm like, oh God. Why does he keep mentioning that the glass is unbreakable? Anyway, they take
like
it
Uncle
home.
Buck.
Yeah, exactly. They take the coffee table home. The guy assembles it, or just tries to assemble it, but there's a screw missing. So he kind of like, he's got this big piece of glass haphazardly kind of leaning up, and he's left with the baby while his wife goes shopping. And you do not see this. You just sort of hear the aftermath. But there's a crash. Everything's covered in blood. And the baby's head is underneath an armchair. And he's got the rest of the baby holding it. So there's been some accident, obviously, with the glass. And then it's just from that happens 20 minutes in. And then from then, it's just like this horrible ticking time bomb film. It's only 90 minutes long, the film, where it's like, right, you know that the salesman is going to come to the house because he's already called about a missing screw. So you know he's on his way. There's a little girl who lives in the building who's harassing him, saying that like she's like 13 and she's going to tell his wife they're having an affair. And there's also his brother is on the way around and his wife is shopping and she's coming back. And it's like this guy just is like, right, just like, right, okay. And you can sort of, do you know when you do something in the like, I've done it before where I've dropped like a big bowl of soup or something, and the bowl's broken. There's soup everywhere,
and then someone's head rolls under the chair, and you're like, oh,
and you're like, oh, I forgot about the head.
Great,
like that's another thing I need to think about.
Just
but
what I need.
You know when something like happens and you're just like, right, I know what needs to happen here, but a lot's going on right now. And this poor guy is like trying to like just deal with what's happened, and then so he sort of like puts the rest of the baby in the cot. It's such a black comedy because it is funny. Like they frame it, some of it is heartbreakingly horrible, obviously, but then it's kind of like, ultimately, yeah, your baby has died and you kind of killed him by accident, and now what? It's like, well, cleanup operation, I guess. He just kind of tries to clean it up, and his wife's on the way. His wife's like calling him from the fucking supermarket, and he's just like, it's so stressful to watch. And then the actual kind of moment where everyone just finds out within 30 seconds what's happening and sees the baby head is just the most horrifically, it's just like bang, 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 like, and everyone's stressed, everyone's vomiting, like everyone's dying, and you're just like, oh my God. You're waiting for this. And there are times in the film where it's almost kind of a bit boring. You're like, oh, let her just find the head. I mean, like, come on. Because it's like a lot of pot boiling kind of like, he doesn't get on with his brother. His brother's brought his girlfriend. He's a lot younger than him and she's pregnant. And there's all this kind of like drama going on. And the whole time, it's like, you kind of get spun up in that a little bit of like, oh, yeah, they don't look like they've got a very healthy relationship. And then you're like, shit, there's a baby head over there. You can keep remembering it. And then when it finally, and I won't say how the head is found because that's even fucking worse than anything else. But yeah, I was like, why the fuck have I watched this? But also it's so effective because it's sort of, they get straight to it. It's like straight to it, crash, bang, baby headless. And then all the action, like stuff happens in the last 10 minutes. So you've got sort of 30 minutes and then there's an hour in between where you're just going, what is going to happen here? Like there's something in the room that they're trying to, and they're talking to him, go, oh, what's the matter with you? He's hurt, he's injured himself as well. So that's how he explains away all the blood because he's like injured himself on this table. And yeah, just, and every single thing that happens to this guy, like the salesman from the shop comes round and he's like flirting with him and wanting to like go on a date with him, and it's just like the guy's face is like, please just fuck off, like please just leave me alone. And then the little girl from next door who's a pain in the ass comes round and she's like, I'm gonna tell your wife you're flirting with me and I want to run away with you. And he's like, will you please? He goes to get the cleaning equipment from their house because he's got no cleaning stuff to clean up this debris of his son. And he's just like, they're just like hassling him, and the little girl's doing his head in, and it's just like, you feel like it's such a tense thing where it's like he's just got this job to do and no one will let him do the job, and it's also a horrible job. And I was like, I know how this feels. This is every day at work for me. Like, I've got a job that I don't really want to do, and everyone's fucking interrupting me while I'm trying not to do it.
Less heads of children.
No, there is no baby heads. It's just other stuff that I don't really want to do. But like, yeah, it was really effective. I would recommend watching it. I know it sounds obviously incredibly horrific. However, the way that they shoot it and the way that they sort of play some of it for laughs and like black comedy does take the edge off it massively. So that it's not like a slasher type. You know, you don't see anything particularly gruesome. It's just knowing what's going on. You know what's going on, and so you're sort of like, oh god. But yeah, I just that came out of nowhere. It's 2 years old, so it was like, I don't know why it was on a list of 2024's best horror films in a magazine, but yeah, it's good. It's all in Spanish with subtitles, and it's like the main actor. Like, I understand why he took that part, but like I don't know if he's acted very much since then. After that, you know what I mean? His name is David Pereira, and like I do recognize him. He's like 48, something like that. I'm thinking, like, once you do that film, is there much of a way back for you? You know what I mean? In terms of like doing. He's not going to be on the Spanish version of EastEnders, I don't think. You know what I mean?
The way you described it, Kirsty, it sounds like an episode of Mr. Bean.
Was it like a slapstick scene where he's like juggling the head and then he's like trying to tape it back onto the body or anything like that?
You just sort of see like, you just hear, he's like singing to them, there's music on, and he's like talking to the baby's screaming its head off because mum's gone. And he's like, la, 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 you know, like you do to a baby. No, don't cry. I hate my life. And he's trying to do it in a nice little... yeah. Don't cry or I'll want to kill you. Like, sort of like sing-song voice that they don't understand the words to. And he's doing that, and then suddenly there's just this crash. And it's complete silence. And you're like, oh, that's not good. Babies ain't silent very often. Like, but there's just kind of like, it's a very much a blink and you'll miss it kind of thing, that the baby's actually been decapitated as well, because it's like a shadow under a chair and it's like 1 second. So like you've got to really be watching it, and it was a bit tricky sometimes with the subtitles, trying to read and watch at the same time, because there's a lot of like very quick little things that crop up. But it did come across a bit like just one of those episodes of it, like One Foot in the Grave or Mr. Bean, where someone's just trying to do a very simple task, which is put the decapitated baby back in the crib, and everything's stopping them from doing it. You know, everything's getting in the way. Oh, it's such a pain. Like, it's like, can I not just get this baby back in the crib? And there was a cameo by My Pet Monster as well, because the baby doesn't sleep in the baby's room. The baby sleeps in their bedroom. Yep. So he's put the baby into the crib. And then they go into the actual baby's room. He's got all of his old 1980s toys. So there's this really macabre, like, scene where basically they're going around the baby's room, who is, like, dead in the other room. And it's, like, all of his childhood toys. There's, like, He-Man, My Pet Monster. There's a Ninja Turtle. And the girlfriend of the brother is, like, 18 years old. And she's like, oh, I don't know what any of this stuff is. I like Monster High. And it's just such an odd scene. It's just such an odd, like, what have you put that in there for? Because that would, and it, like, when they're just discussing toys and like, oh yeah, hang on, wasn't this my toy? It's his brother going, hang on, wasn't this mine? And he's like, no, we were sharing it. And all this is happening, and at the same time, like, it's very much one of those Hitchcock things where he lets the viewer see something, and then it's there. Do you know what I mean? And then you're just the whole way through, you're like, oh god, we're gonna find what's going on in a minute. But yeah, so that's what I spent my time doing yesterday.
The real horror of that film is missing parts when you buy flat pack furniture. Like, why ever bother?
Well, I literally, like, I was just about to say, when Lewis came back, I was trying to tell him that, because he was only out for a couple. I was like, okay, I can fit in a 90-minute film. When he came back, I was like, just watched a film about, and he was like, oh, what's that about? And I was like, I was trying to say, well, do you know what's funny? Do you know when we bought a new bed because we tried to move our bed from one room to another and it fell apart, so we had to buy a new one. And and like, do you remember when we were going through the flat pack and I'm trying to assemble the bed and we were like, where's this screw? How big is this? You know what I mean? And it's all like there's no words in the booklet, it's just pictures. And yeah, like, so it was a bit like that. You know, assembling furniture, flat pack, something goes wrong.
Just gloss over that. Something goes wrong.
Gloss over the headless baby. There's an element of black comedy to it because the character of the wife, she's a proper shrew. She's like calling him all sorts. Like when they're in the shop with the salesman, she's like, "You're a swindler. You're a cheat. You're a liar." You've got like, and he's like, this poor guy stood there going, "Wow!" And like she's just saying to her husband that you're useless. You've got no taste. That's horrendous. It's the worst table I've ever seen. Like, she's so horrible. And she's just basically like...
To be fair to her, she leaves him alone for a few hours and he decapitates their son.
Oh, well, it's a horrible scene. She's like... the actress is like 48 and they've obviously made her look at like this is her last chance. And they mention it a few times, like, they've had IVF and this is their last chance to have a baby. It's a miracle baby. Do you know what I mean? And she talks to her friend in the supermarket and you've just seen this baby die. And then like she's talking and then it keeps cutting back and forth between her talking to this friend of hers in the supermarket. And she's like, it's the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. It's made my life worthwhile. I love my baby so much. And you're like, oh, oh yeah. So it is like, it's not, I can't say it's particularly like give me nightmares or stayed with me or upset me. It wasn't upsetting when it happened. It was just kind of ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? And then the ending is pretty bleak, but I don't think I wouldn't compare it to sort of like, as some people have seen it and gone, I wish I'd never seen that film. It's haunted me ever since. I can't say that. Really, do you know what I mean? It's just, it's got a tone about it where you know it is just kind of black horror.
Well, I think there is some merit to that, to the point of it won't affect you if you don't have kids, sort of thing. Because as funny as a lot of movies now that I just can't watch because stuff happens to the kids.
Whereas the childless woman, I love seeing kids get murdered and decapitated. It's just one of the best things. It's just like, do you know what? I've had a hard day at work. I just want to unwind. I'm like, dead kid movies. Let's have a look. What we got? Oh, this one's a good baby. You don't see many babies go. Go on. Let's have that on.
It doesn't affect me at all. I don't have kids.
I'm going to watch this again when it's finished.
Rewind. Watched it. Yeah, I'd love to put a comment on Letterboxd just going, this was great. I watched it 3 times in a row.
Are there anywhere more than one kid dies?
Just out of interest, like just following the tag decapitated baby on Letterboxd. See where that leads you.
Just start a whole thread on Reddit of like dead kid movies. I watched Coffee Table. I loved it.
I think there is something about like when like you can watch, obviously you watch like teenage, like you watch Scream or you watch slasher films like that, and all these teenagers get murdered. And, like, you're just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, exactly. But then there is something about when it's children that really affects people, and especially like I think little toddlers as well is another one. Like Gage in Pet Sematary, when it's like a little toddler, and you're like, horrible. It just seems more wrong than like than anything else. And I remember when I was desperate to watch the adaptation of It when it was on TV when I was probably about 13, and I was desperate to see the TV adaptation because no one would get me the video and I hadn't seen it, and it was supposed to be on, and I'd bargained with mum and dad so much to let me watch it, and they were like, fine, you can watch it, but don't become crying sores if you have nightmares. And then like the day before it was meant to be on, a child was kidnapped and murdered, and so they didn't put it on, and I was like, like yes, I'm sad about the child that was murdered, but I really wanted to watch it. And this, you know, I can't just get it on demand like in the future. I have to wait for it to be on DVD now or something. Like, yeah, I'm so disappointed.
No one's suffering as much as you, and you're like, oh, I can't get any worse than this.
Yeah. It's like, what would that, you know, it's not going to bring her back if they don't show it. You know what I mean? Just put it on, it's fine. Like,
It's not going to bring her back.
well, it's not, is it? You know? What do they think is going to happen? Like, I'm like this for a reason. Yeah, it's like, well, what do you think is? I couldn't see the sense in it at the time. I was like, I understand, like they can't, you know, it's like they don't really want to be putting stuff like that on the TV and stuff. But still, I was just like, I just read something the other day as well about the film Idle Hands, which the US government really pressured them not to release that film because it was just a couple of weeks after Columbine, and it's like,
isn't this a comedy?
Yeah, this is a film about someone whose hands get possessed by the devil. And then he goes again. It's not the same thing. Like, do you know what I mean?
What's his name as well, isn't it?
Devon Sawyer from Final Destination is the lead in it. And I was just like,
Yes.
what's the sense in that? I don't get it. Like, yeah, if you want to see, if you're interested in babies being decapitated.
It's got Seth fucking Green in it as well, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's like it's a knockabout, silly comedy, silly like.
Any movie that's got Seth Green on it is just fine to screen just whenever. Like, come on.
MTV had to start putting a warning before Beavis and Butthead because they were worried that people would start setting fire to frogs. Like Beavis and Butthead are not even real people.
Yeah, that's why they do
cartoons.
I love after like Columbine as well. Everyone was like, right, it's the violent films, the video games, and the music.
Clearly.
That's why they did it. And it's like, could it also be that they had a very good access to guns and ammunition and bombs, and that they were mentally ill? Could it have been those things? No, it's not that. It's the films. Bad idle hands. Get it out of this. Like, you know,
they also made the two Columbine murderers also made a student film called Hitmen for Hire, where they walked through the corridors of the school with like fake guns, doing like, get that jock bully, get him, and they're like, everybody. But you can literally watch that online, and then like people afterwards are like, no, they never really saw any signs of them being weird. It's even like a yearbook picture of the entire year, and they're at the back making like gun signs with their hands. It's like, yeah, these are two bad dudes.
And like family men who work in offices are like, I don't see what this has got to do with my AR-15.
I only use that to massacre deer by the dozen.
Super animals. Flying foxes.
This artillery cannon is just for hunting.
Yeah.
It's like, pulled!
Planning on taking out a beluga whale at the weekend, so I really need this.
You can go deer hunting and sit in a hide for a week, or you can just go shelling. Let's go shelling, boys.
I'm going off to the zoo.
It's already cooked when you pick it up. That's
like people going
Americans.
It's like people going on safari with them ridiculously large, like musket guns, like the blunderbuss or something.
Big
It's like
guns.
It's like a single shot cannonball.
When I used to run the film society, one of the films we screened was Elephant by Gus Van Sant, where he sort of lampoons all this idea that like Columbine was all like. So they in that film that they there's all sorts of things that they do before they commit this massacre, and it's all supposed to be like none of these things in isolation were not anything to do with it. And we screened that film. There's about 17 people in the cinema, and it ends. And there's 3 lads who all stand up in these massive black trench coats. And I'm like, oh no, this is where it happens. This is all going to be blamed. When they kill someone now, when they go and bomb the cinema, it's all going to be blamed on me, Kirsty Walker, chair of Halton Film Society. Bloody typical.
Then they turn around and they've got 9 Inch Nails t-shirts underneath him. You're like, oh, thank God.
Oh, it was definitely like the silhouettes they cast though when they stood up. I was like, oh no, the trenchcoat mafia are here and they want revenge.
See, if you had your AR-15 in your handbag, you'd have been A-okay.
Yeah, so that's the only film I watched, a film that disturbed an entire generation, but I quite liked.
Oh, look, it took quite a bit of time, so that's great. That's all I really care about. just watching the numbers. All right. Do you have childhood nightmares as well, or just needful things?
No, just needful things. I didn't have a chance to look at them.
All right. We almost had a guest for a tarot reading, Jed.
We almost had a dog guest, but she's just been like, I can't be asked for this. It's boring. Going downstairs.
What's your dilemma? Is dry food or wet food?
I'm allergic to Lewis.
I'm allergic to my own dad.
That's like one of them take a break headlines. I'm allergic to my dad. They're like morbid porn, them bloody headlines. Like, I had a baby by my brother and then he murdered me.
I did read one of them the other day because I've got a Readly account. And because I read Good Housekeeping magazine, it was like, why don't you read Take a Break? I was like, oh, go on then. What's going on in Take a Break? And it is like, my son has 2 heads, but I still love him. It's like, oh, that's nice.
I love him twice as much.
The little tiny orange-sized one that's on the side of his real head. Just so cute.
Here's how shit America is in some cases. There's that. There's then conjoined twins who are like joined at like literally like the torso, so like a person with like 2 heads, like the spines are like fused at the bottom, so Lucy just looks like a 2-headed person. And they're both working as teachers now. Obviously, they got to have the same job. They can't have like separate jobs. But they went to university. They went to like teaching college. They paid 2 tuition fees, and the school paid them 1 salary because they're doing the same class.
Oh, that's your worst nightmare when like you're telling off a kid. It's like, hey, I've told you put that phone away. And he goes, well, what about the other teacher? What does he say? It's like, I'll do what the fuck you want. Take your phone out if you want. Like, no, we have to be on the same page with discipline.
I saw a YouTube video where they had a reality TV program that like ran for like 1 season because anything more than that would probably just be ridiculous. And they have like 1 day of the term at like the beginning of the year with a new class, and they have like a Q&A day where they can ask them any sort of questions about being a 2-headed person. And like I was going through YouTube comments because sometimes they're absolute gold, and one of them was, every one of them kids will grow up telling people that they had a 2-headed teacher, and no one's ever gonna fucking believe them. I was like, my teacher had 2 heads when I was in school. People were like, no, it's like, you did.
Well, that's what school photo day is for, isn't it? I bet every single kid was in on that day. Like, yeah, I want to be part of this. Put the teacher in the middle. We'll all sit around and see. It's real. It's real.
Yeah, 2-headed teachers. We just had really ugly ones.
Just one really shithead.
really, really, really black, like melanoma mole. Just like teaching you geography.
Welcome to Needful Things.
I'm sorry. I was just looking through my phone for my needful things because they're all going to be on screenshots or something. And for some reason, I've took this big screenshot of Cyril's sneer, but just not sent it to anyone.
For the bloody raccoons.
Just a minute, just there.
The raccoons had the most banging soundtrack as well. It was like totally over the top for a kid's cartoon.
Oh, I love that song. That's one of my favourite songs. They just went so hard on that song. It's like, it's a show about a family of raccoons that lives in the woods, and they're like, when darkness falls, leaving shadows in the night. It's like, what the fuck have you done?
We used to love that. Watching that.
I love that. I love that song. It's absolutely brilliant. When desperate love keeps on driving you wrong is a lyric from that song. Is that a kid's Saturday morning thing? Is it? When desperate love keeps on driving you wrong, don't be afraid. You're not alone. We're a raccoon family for some reason.
80s cartoons just like went ridiculously hard on everything.
Oh, Pokemon. The Pokemon themes are absolute bangers as well.
Yeah, I do love that. There's a darts player called Dimitri Prachescu, and he's nicknamed Pikachu, and he comes out to the peak with Pokemon sound song.
Because he wants to be the very best.
It's like comes like gotta be the fairy, and you're like, yay! But everyone hates him because he's a dick. No one likes him because Ricardo Petrescu, his name is, sorry, and he's like, yeah, he's a bit of a dick. So everyone's like, Pikachu, we hate you.
Yeah, his show just to do him.
Because the darts was on recently, that not the 9 o'clock news sketch was doing the rounds on social media, where it's just like the drinking contest between the two darts players, like 180 milligrams. It's like Chris Reece-Jones and Mel Smith just getting inebriated, and Rowan Atkinson is like the commentator in like a really weird wig and moustache. Like it's almost like you've never seen him in before.
Yeah, I was showing it. So Lewis, who has only just got into darts about a year ago, I was like, I love showing him old clips where they're about to go on and they're like lighting each other's cigarettes as they walk down, do their walkout. Like, there you go, lad. Just smoking on stage, drinking a pint on stage. It's like, that's completely normal.
Sponsored by Embassy cigarettes.
Yeah.
Embassy ran the snooker for God knows how many years. They've only stopped that in the last 5 or 6 years. The snooker and the Formula One were like the holdouts for the city.
So I got quite a lot of good books for Christmas, and one of the books that I got was called The Screen Traveler's Guide, and it's locations from all sorts of films. And there's a whole section on horror films. So it's got The Wicker Man, shows you all of the locations from The Wicker Man. A load of stuff from Stranger Things. It's also got the original Nosferatu locations in Germany and Slovakia. Night of the Living Dead, Jaws. And it's just really interesting because you're sort of looking through it. And it even like Oakley Court, for example, is this big old house in Berkshire, and it was in all of the Hammer horror films. So Curse of Frankenstein, Brides of Dracula. It was in Rocky Horror Show. It's been in loads of stuff like that. And so it's interesting as well, just looking at the I was looking at the locations for the Wicker Man, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and it's mad how even in a generally small area, like they're far apart. You know what I mean? Just and it makes it look like it's such a small little town, and it's like you think, oh, that might have been all just shot together. It's like, no, they shot this 100 miles away from where the other scenes were, and like they're all over near the Firth of Clyde and like Stranraer.
Yeah.
And they've got and it's a dead good book. It's got loads of it's all sorts of films, but then like they also have a whole section on horror, and it also gives you some sort of background information. Like something I didn't know was so they built 2 Wicker Men. I knew that. I knew they did a big one which was used for the close-ups, and the one where Edward Woodward has to be inside it, and they used a smaller one for long shots. But the original legs of the full-sized ones were still there. Up until 2006, when someone just went and sawed them off, and I thought they were there so up to 2005. I could have gone there and seen the original legs of the Wicker Man, and then someone just went and sawed them off, and then that's just a concrete base now. That's it. That's all that's there.
Oh.
But yeah,
you could have sawed them off.
Yeah, that could have been you.
I definitely could have done that. Yeah, maybe I did. Some of those years are a blur. But it's got like loads of American Werewolf in London. And then a load of stuff, just like there's a whole section on different train stations used in horror films. The Exorcist locations in Washington, and Budapest where Midsummer was filmed. And it's just quite interesting to look through and see like, oh yeah, try to. There's still a lot of places that you can, because I mean, so much is done on sound stages now and like CGI'd as well. Like I've been on a Game of Thrones tour where literally they just take you into the woods and they go, well, this was where this scene happened, and you go, it looks nothing like it. And they're like, yeah, because they just CGI'd the hell out of it. But it was definitely this log. We found it. This log was in it. You're like, it looks nothing like
This
it
is-
whatsoever.
This is where they superimpose the wall. As you can see, there is no wall.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was very much like that. So you go right. It's like, so if you just look this way, and they've got like a crap like color like printout of the actual scene, and you go right. So all they've really used is just that tree and that rock, and the rest of it is a castle just put on top of it. And they're like, yeah. So enjoy the location for. And it's like, we've got 20 minutes here. And you're like, why? We don't need 20 minutes here. Like, we don't need 20 minutes here. You've just showed us that there's no castle, there's no building. What are we supposed to do? Get photographs it? And then, but there were still people going, take my picture, pointing at the log. Like, look. Like, this is a terrible, like, obviously some of it is like, there's a castle and they've doubled the castle up to make it bigger or whatever. Or they've completely, like, there's a ruin or a harbour where you can go, oh yeah, I can see this. But yeah, the vast majority of these location tours in Belfast are just like, yeah, I know it looks nothing like it. That's because they filmed it here and then just obviously ran it through a computer. And because
Could literally have been anywhere.
it really felt like that. Yeah, it's like this. But then there's so many locations that are still. And I have to say, like, in it's the 50th anniversary of Jaws being released this year, sorry. So it was released on Christmas Day 75. So it's the 50th anniversary of that in this country on Christmas Day this year. And it's also they're doing a big 50th anniversary thing over in Martha's Vineyard. And like, you can still see that there's still quite a lot of stuff because it was exterior shots and the landscape hasn't really changed. There's still quite a lot of stuff that you can go, oh yeah, I can see that. I can see that's where it's meant to be. And the guy who does all the guided tours is Alex Kintner, the kid who was the kid who gets eaten first off, and like he's the actor is called Jeffrey Voorhees, and he does the tours and stuff. So yeah, there's a big
Voorhees.
celebration going on. Voorhees, indeed, yeah. So a real name, which was used was 81 when that came out. So it's a real name that they've plucked out of somewhere. I don't know whether they've just been inspired by that.
If you had that surname, you'd be so tempted to call your son Jason just for like a lifetime of bullying.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always baffled by it. It's like when I see a name come up at one of the students that's enrolled, and it's like, you called your kid that? And they're like, yep, funny, innit? And they're like, well, this is why we've invited you in, because he set fire to something. Doesn't use that name anymore. So yeah, that's it's called The Screen Traveller's Guide. It's
Cool.
You get it online for about 8 to 10 quid. It's a DK eyewitness book. It's really good.
Would they do like a half and half photograph?
No, it's just sort of like just a map, really, and just sort of like there's lots of. I mean, some of them it's like Pirates of the Caribbean location, the Caribbean, and you're like, yeah, right. So
sea.
Some of them they're reaching, but obviously, like, the Fox Plaza you can still visit, like in,
Apollo 13.
Yeah, some of them are a bit.
Moon. Well,
some of them are obviously a little bit of a reach, and there's obviously some that are sort of, it's you can't actually go and visit it, but like a lot of them you still can, and at the back there's an index of like all the different places that you can actually still go. There's probably a lot in London which have not been changed, and there's probably, I mean, there's also loads in Liverpool when you look hard enough, because they often use Liverpool to double for New York and Chicago. So
Glad the Albert Docks in Captain America, the first Avenger.
Yeah,
which is like literally running around the dock.
You do get a lot of tourists who call the Liver building the Batman building now. Like, it's the Batman building, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Not to brag. I'm sorry to step on everyone here, but recently heard that Paul Rudd and Jack Black will be spending some time on the Gold Coast soon. Film the new Anaconda movie.
Free.
I saw that. You had to get free snakes.
That's not the prop snake. Put it down.
Are you going to use your house? Are you going to give him your house to use?
Well, yeah, it's funny that I saw that was Kath was telling me, so people have been asked to let out their houses for them to do the filming, and I'm like, wouldn't it be a very specific house?
They'd probably use exteriors and then do a soundstage of the interior, wouldn't they? That's what they do. So it's like someone's just bought the house from. Oh, do you know what? It's just slipped my mind. But like, so what? There's a house that's in a famous film. I'm sure it's a horror film, and like people like still go there and sort of vandalize it and stuff. But they've bought it and gone like, well, I think it's sort of like people are doing it less now. So, but they just use the exterior of those houses. Yeah. Like all the stuff in like the Exorcist house and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
they obviously just use the exterior shot and then they build the rest of it indoors. Yeah. So like,
but it's funny. It's like when they said, "Oh, people are being asked to." It's like they could literally just on the day knock on the door and say, "Can Paul Rudd and Jack Black use your house for a couple of days?" They'd be like, "Yeah."
Well, do you know the other thing that they do? And my friend had a house where she lives. She's got a house in Liverpool, but she was away working in London for like 3 months, and they just housed actors there in her house. So she thought they were going to use it for locations, and they were like, "No, we just kind of need somewhere for the actors to live, and we'd rather put them in a house than give them at hotels and stuff because they prefer they're going to be there a couple of months, and they prefer a bit more of a homely." And she was like, "Yeah, sure." And they paid just to give over the house to them.
They wouldn't get pestered as much as they would in a hotel of like people,
Yeah, well, people get crazy in hotels as well. So I didn't really think about this, but I've definitely seen like actors who, if they're away from home and they've got to, they don't like putting them in hotels because hotels do have this weird effect on people where they're just like you feel caged all the time. And it's like there was an article about, and they were interviewing an actor who, they didn't identify the actor, but an actor who'd been put up in a hotel for 4 months while they were filming, and he lost his mind while he was there, basically. But also they interviewed an asylum seeker who'd been put into a bottom range hotel at the same time that was like at nowhere near any kind of facilities and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that was as happy as I am not to be in my war-torn country being threatened with death every day, there is definitely still something that happens to the human mind when you go, welcome to this shit hotel. This is your whole life. You're not allowed to go anywhere. We deliver your food to your door. You can't use the dining room. You can't use the gym. You can't use the swimming pool. That's where you live now. And that's like, oh, all right. And it's like,
there's this very small room where you can hear everything going on outside, and then you're basically just in the general public.
And you can't open the windows, and you can't and if you want to go for a walk, you're actually on a motorway, so you can't do that either. It's like, unless you've got a car, you can't get away from this thing. And there's so it was not very nice for either of those people to be living in a hotel.
Plus, like, every time you go out and then come back, the bed's made, so it's like, is the place haunted? Who's making the bed?
First thought.
Where have these towels come from?
That's why I don't make the bed and clean up, just in case Lewis gets upset when he comes home and goes, "It's haunted." I leave it just the way he left it when he goes out in the morning. Just off
the back you saying about people renting out houses to film sets, the woman whose house was used as Walter White's house in Breaking Bad has had a mental breakdown for years because people keep throwing pizzas on the top of her house.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
The scenes in Breaking Bad, and
that's
she went
what it
absolutely
was.
ballistic.
Yeah, right.
That's the one that I was thinking of. So it's just been sold, and there's new people have bought that house, and it was Walter White's house in Breaking Bad, and that's what they were saying. They were like, it's kind of died off a bit, but she eventually was just sold because she was just like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like, people are just stood outside it, pointing at it.
Yeah, she put massive fences around it, and it's only a little, a duplex, a bungalow type house. Every time people would stand outside to take selfies, she would come out on the front porch, get away from my house, you motherfuckers! There's no meth here. There's no meth here, motherfuckers. Move on.
Jed?
Yeah. I have some pretty disturbing, weird things this week. I was just looking through Etsy to find some of the weirdest things, and Etsy's known for its sort of crafty, independent stores, but I was trying to find some of the weirder sort of craft things that people have made. And firstly, I found this. I'm going to post the things in the chat so you can have a look. So first, I found this, which appears to be some sort of 3D printed finger, but it's on the back of a the back of a snail. So it's called a snail shell finger, nail oddity, and curiosity polymer clay sculpture. Weird, ugly creature. It's just a finger with a snail.
They could have shortened that, surely.
I know, yeah.
Snappy title.
Snappy title is pretty much a theme of everything I have this week because they all have ridiculously weird sort of subtext. So I was like, I went down a rabbit hole of looking for really weird things that nobody could possibly buy. Like what sort of, I mean, there are sort of people out there who would have things of the nature of this, but some of them are just so weird that there's absolutely no way that somebody would have them. Now, the next one is literally, it's called a 2-5-ball creepy polymer sculpture odyssey. It is a eyeball tooth skin creature that has the legs, which is just like 3 screws.
That's horrific.
I know, yeah, it's also a bleeding eye.
Why would you want that? Like that? Yeah, that's just horrible. Like,
just off also elaborating on Paul's discussion about bees. What's worse than an Australian hornet? Well, I'll tell you what's worse than an Australian hornet. It is a old man baby bee plus weird plus toy sculpture, creepy bear, weird teddy gift, weird creature, and they come in various faces, including one that looks like a mutilated woman's orifice, which is just creepy. It's basically like a mutated baby face that someone has stuck on a bee sculpture.
Oh my god!
They should come with like a little pop-up that just says, "No one wants this as a present." Just straight away with people browsing it, like, no one wants this as a present. Back away. If you want to buy it for yourself, fine, but do not make this a gift.
One of the related products from that link, Jed, I just posted.
I like the way they say it's handmade and not mass-produced.
Handmade foreskin worm.
This isn't one of the foreskin worms you can just get off Temu.
Oh my god! Why do these?
What the hell?
They've got to be on a list.
I worry about humanity sometimes.
Yeah.
I worry.
But I have saved the best for last. So these are all obviously handmade, possibly 3D printed items that are made for Etsy. But the final one is obviously a little bit more crafty, and it's using some recycling, which is also, if anyone remembers Furby, there's a lot of things online where people are refitting Furby, and someone has made this, which they've lovely called Bagel, the Creation, the Legend, and His Child.
What the fuck?
It's nice and cuddle sized that you can like fit in your bed with his with his large hands.
What? Why? 144 quid.
You know what I like here? If you don't read into it at all and just take it on face value, all capitals. Please note, I am no longer able to ship to the EU.
This is why we came out of Europe.
Like, you are not allowed to ship these fucking things here.
What I like is that, like, that's taken in someone's backyard, and it just looks like the most anodyne, normal backyard. And imagine you go to a barbecue at someone's house, and it's like, oh, you got a nice yard here, and then you see, just doing a quick photo shoot of my weird Furby creations.
Kept to themselves mostly.
What the fuck? Why?
The best thing is the comments, because despite how horrific and bizarre it is, and you'd think, why does that exist? Is this a joke? Like 507 5-star reviews that are like, absolutely love this. Can't wait to give it to my friend. And amazing quality. It looks exactly like the photos. My mum absolutely loves it. And I'm like, hang on. If you read those reviews, fine. But then when you look at what it is they fucking bought, oh my God.
It was perfect. For what, exactly? What was it perfect for? For being...
Possibly the best thing I have ever bought to gift somebody. Incredible.
I know.
It's got a couple of them. Actually, a couple of people have taken the photographs in the house Absolutely perfect Christmas gift, well made and quickly shipped.
Imagine spending 150 quid on that piece of shit.
Matched
That is
description,
horrific.
matched expectations.
I mean, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Oh my god. I'm just going to post this review in the chat because apparently they don't just make this particular one. It's like a theme of various types of weird Furbies. And this one is put, and it goes, my custom leggy fussy boy is absolutely perfect and I adore him. And it's just like a really long Furby with his feet up on a recliner chair.
Oh, God, that's his chair as well. No one else can sit in that chair.
I think I've found a subculture of people on Etsy who like to buy really disturbing things and terrify everyone. What's that? That's the Furby torture room.
But it wasn't hard to find that group, was it?
It's on a dark web forum. You can only buy these Furbies in Bitcoin.
Or by a blood sacrifice. Oh, that is just horrific. Imagine going to someone's house and that's on display. You just make your excuses quickly when you go, oh, do you know what? The babysitter's not well. You don't have kids, Kirsty. Yeah, I know. Bye.
Somebody who would have this is the type of person who's middle-aged and still pushes around a doll in a pram.
Yeah, it does give a bit of a, those newborn babies that look like they're premature babies and people buy them. Like dolls of premature babies. And it's just like, why do you want this? And it's like, oh, I've got 7. Like, why do you have 7? What is he for? What do you do with it? Oh, just for fun. Like, what? Do you have any children of your own? No, we haven't been blessed with children of our own. We just have the dolls. And there's some poor guy in the background going, it just keeps her happy. It just keeps her happy.
And just as you're about to leave, she says, keep an eye on that one. That's the cheeky one. Let me out.
Yeah, you definitely nearly stole a baby from the hospital and that's why you've got these. I mean, what? She nearly had one.
We had an upstairs neighbour who literally did that. Had a reborn doll and used to take it round in a pram. And it was the same time that Servant had just started on Apple TV. And every time I'd see her out the window, I would go to Laura. I would go, hey, he's taking Jericho out for a walk again. Don't call it that. She's got mental illness. You better not leave him in the car.
Good luck to the first person who was like, do you know what I'm going to craft? Is a baby doll, but that looks like a vampire. I bet loads of people would want that. Just the jump that's the real Elon Musk.
There's one who looks like, there's one that looks like Shrek, and there's another one that looks like Gollum. There's another one there's a couple of weird one as well. They're very popular with people into that who are also goths. They're a little vampire and a little werewolf.
But yeah, I just take it out in a pram. Oh, what a lovely bit.
It's oh, what have you got there? Oh my God.
It was Sweet Home as well. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
And she's one of the first ones of that. She's the bass player girl is going down the lift and she goes, oh, and she looks in the pram and it's a doll or something in the pram. She's like, oh. Gonna ride the lift down now, don't we? Wow. Well, I might have to switch these, the order of these up because mine aren't as impressive as that. But
always put Jed last.
Yeah, right. So I thought these were. It's just oddly placed, like the things that people sell on Facebook Marketplace. So this one is it's not even expensive. Full vending machine, but with Vigo the Carpathian on it for no reason. There's no advertising or anything.
It doesn't even say that Vigo's on the front.
I know, it's just standard vending machine.
I love the description, all in working order. Well, that wasn't my question, actually. My question was, what the fuck is that? What does it vend? What does it vend?
And to answer everyone's question, yes, if the ad's up, it's available. No.
No, I won't deliver.
Every single choice just spits out that
pink sludge.
And the other one, which was just why this is a working script signed by Rob Zombie for his movie 31, which was fucking atrocious, terrible movie. They're selling it because then they read the script or watched the film and they're like, oh, okay. See how much we can get for this.
And Rob Zombie's version of the monsters is just nearly entirely unwatchable.
One more thing I'll post. It's not really a needful thing. It's something I just saw. This is a real life horror, and horror will ensue. This is one of the groups that I'm in. It's a 4x4 drivers group, and people always proudly post pictures of like, oh, new winch setup, or like, this is how I've got my solar panels on the roof and all this sort of stuff. This absolute fucking moron, and we'll grey out his name before we post it. I don't know why he's taking a mallet with him anywhere, but he's mounted it in such a fashion that if anything happens and he's going to slam on the brakes or crashes, because it's in a car, that hammer is going to fly straight through the front and kill everything in its path.
It's his camping mallet for knocking in tent pegs.
I keep a loaded gun in the back of my car, pointing straight forwards. Just for when I need it.
Do you think he's been sitting there one night after a few cans just going like, why do toolboxes exist? Why do we have to put them in boxes? Why don't you just mount them straight up on the... Oh, he's going to find that out pretty soon, isn't he? I know why.
He like took a bus once and saw that they have them little hammers like behind the glass of the back. And he's like, oh, that's a good idea, but I need it a little bit more quickly. Like, what if it wasn't an emergency, but I still needed it?
He put one of those little Donny hammers up and he was like, it looks a bit inadequate. What about this massive big 5 kilogram mallet?
What if it didn't need to smash through the glass, but the actual car?
If you slam on the brakes and duck, you can fire it at the car in front of you.
It's like every episode of Pimp My Ride in like the early 2000s. It's like we heard John has a koi carp tattoo. You know what we put in the middle of his car? We put a fucking koi carp on.
And not a single one of those cars is road legal the second it comes out of there. Thanks for making it so I can't ever use my car again.
My favourite bit of that show is always when they sort of like, there's just some like working class guy working at the garage who's like, you can't do that to the exhaust, it's not road legal. And then like Ludacris is there going, come on, man. I was like, no, you can't do it. It's not, she won't be able to drive it. The police will stop her from driving it. Yeah, basically they're just like, ooh.
2 hours, 6 minutes, most of it Pimp My Ride related.
There was one episode of her kind of horror related. Where do you like gravestones? So we put a gravestone in the back of your car.
It's funny how many anytime you're looking at buying cars, every time I go online looking at them, you can always find at least one hearse for sale, and they've always got something funny to say about why you'd own the car or something. But it's not like a proper cool old like Ghostbusters car, like American hearse. It's just like a normal, like kind of like a Ford the ones they have now, like a Mondeo or something that's just stretched and it's a hearse. Or here it's like a Ford Falcon that's stretched and it's a hearse, and you're like, it's not the same though, really.
Not the same.
It's not the same.
I was there's a funeral home like opposite Morrison's in Frodsham. I remember like about 2 years ago, I was sat eating a sandwich on the bench outside Morrison's, and the coroner's van stops outside the funeral home, and they couldn't get the trolley out the back of the thing, so the two fellas just handballed it through the front door. The funeral home was like a body bag. Just like sat there like with a sandwich in my mouth, just like watching two guys get a body bag out of the back of the van. Kind of put me off the Christmas meal deal, but I got it. For years though, that funeral home, every Christmas, he would have a life-size Santa climbing up a ladder into the chimney. And I was like, that is like, why is that? That's not the most, that's like totally the most inappropriate type decoration for them to have. It was like a life-size Santa climbing up. It's like, there's literally dead bodies in there. It's like, like, where did they keep that as well? Like all year round, they just keep it off. Like
in one of the coffins, I imagine, just in one of the spare coffins. Like, would you like to view our range? Like, don't open it. Oh, there you go. Why is Father Christmas in here?
They don't do Halloween as well, do they?
I would certainly hope not.
They just put
That's
a
too much.
Just
That's
put a
too
Santa
much.
suit on one of the skeletons. Why the fuck would they do that at a funeral?
I don't know. They did it for years, though, honestly. Like, literally years. Like, I would always comment on it every year. I was like, it's so weird that they have a life-size Santa on top of the funeral home. I was like,
Who's he delivering to? Like,
I know, yeah, what's going on there? It's like,
the implication is there's children in that funeral home waiting for Father Christmas.
I know, yeah.
What have they left out for me?
Would anybody like some sherry or some cookies after today's service?
Oh, that's great.
Honest to God. They don't do it anymore, but they did it for like 20 years.
Finally, someone said, like, think of the deeper implication. Yeah.
The more you think about it, the more macabre it is.
I know, yeah. Like I think like they like, oh, we got another call from the council. It's like, yeah, take him round the back. Don't just like drag him in by hand. He's in the front door. This isn't my grandfather. This is just a box of tinsel.
Oh, we found it.